You didn't choose the pattern. It was passed to you the way language is passed, before you could consent, before you could question, before you could say, I don't want to carry this. It arrived in the way anger was handled, in the way love was given and withheld, in the way silence was used as punishment and performance was used as proof of worth. You inherited it, and for a long time you repeated it, because repeating is what patterns do. But something changed. Something in you looked at the pattern and said, this stops with me, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. In a moment nobody else noticed, in the pause before you reacted the way they reacted, in the boundary you set that nobody in your family has ever set, in the apology you gave that nobody ever gave you. This video is not about what's wrong with you. This video is about what's already changing. 10 signs that the generational pattern is bending. Not because you're perfect, because you're the first one doing it differently. Number 1, you can see it. You can name it. You can trace it from your grandparents to your parents to yourself. The anger that traveled, the silence that was inherited, the conditional love that was recycled. You see the chain. Your parents didn't see it, not because they were less intelligent, because awareness wasn't available to them. The water they swam in was invisible. They called the pattern normal because everyone around them was doing the same thing. And you looked at normal and said, this isn't normal. This is a pattern. And it started before me. Awareness is not healing, but it is the prerequisite for every healing act that follows. The chain cannot bend if nobody can see it. And you can see it. That alone makes you the first. Number 2, the moment arrives. Your child spills something. Your partner says the wrong thing. The frustration peaks, and you feel it. The old reaction rising. The words your parent would have used, the tone your parent would have taken, the volume your parent would have reached. You feel the entire inherited script loading, and you pause. Not perfectly. Sometimes the pause is half a second. Sometimes it comes after the first word already escaped. Sometimes it fails entirely and the old reaction plays out. But the pause exists. It lives in the space between the trigger and the response. And that space, however small, is the exact location where the chain bends. Your parents had no pause. Trigger and response were fused. The pattern played in real time with zero delay. Your pause, even when it's imperfect, even when it's too late, is a break in the transmission. The pattern hits you, and instead of passing through uninterrupted, it stuttered. That stutter is the beginning of the end of the chain. And here's what you need to understand about the pause. It doesn't need to be graceful. It doesn't need to be calm. You can pause with your jaw clenched and your fists tight and your whole body screaming the old reaction. The pause doesn't require composure. It requires one fraction of a second where the program does not complete automatically. That fraction is the crack, and the crack is where the new pattern enters. Number 3, you said no. You held the line. You did something nobody in your family has ever done. You protected your space, and instead of feeling strong, you felt guilty. Terrible. Like you did something wrong. The guilt is not evidence that you made a mistake. The guilt is evidence that you did something new. The system you were raised in had no category for boundaries. Boundaries were coded as betrayal, selfishness, abandonment. And the guilt is the old system's alarm. You're violating the rules. But the rules were broken, and the guilt you feel for breaking them is the sound the pattern makes when it's being rewritten. Number 4, you lie awake wondering, am I doing this right? Am I repeating the pattern? Am I giving enough? Am I giving too much? The questioning is relentless and exhausting. Here's what the questioning proves. You care enough to ask. Your parents didn't question. Not because they were confident, because the pattern doesn't question itself. A pattern runs. It doesn't evaluate. It doesn't wonder if it's doing harm. The fact that you're questioning, that you lose sleep over whether you're repeating the cycle, is proof that you're not running the pattern on autopilot. You're running it with the monitor on, and the monitor changes the output. Number 5, you hear your parents' words come out of your mouth, the exact tone, the exact phrasing, and you stop. Mid-sentence, you take a breath, and you rephrase. You soften, you repair on the spot. Not because you're a perfect parent or partner, because you caught it. And catching it is the break. The pattern wants to run to completion. It was designed to. Generations of repetition have made it smooth, automatic, effortless. And when you interrupt it, even mid-sentence, even after the damage is partially done, you are doing something that has never been done in the history of this particular chain. You are the first person to say, in real time, no, not this, not anymore. Even once is a revolution, and you've done it more than once. And the catch doesn't need to happen before the word leaves your mouth. The catch can happen mid-sentence. It can happen 5 minutes later when you come back and say, I didn't mean that the way it came out. It can happen an hour later when you sit with your child and say, I'm sorry. That was my old stuff. It had nothing to do with you. Every return is a catch. Every repair is a mid-pattern break. And the child or partner who receives that repair is learning something nobody in your family ever learned. That the reaction isn't the final word. That there's always a way back. Number 6, you feel the sadness, not just the anger at what happened, the grief for what didn't happen, the bedtime stories that were never read, the emotions that were never validated, the safety that was never provided. You mourn it. Your parents didn't grieve their childhood. They normalized it. They said, that's just how it was. They converted the wound into a principle. It made me tough. It taught me discipline. It was for my own good. And the conversion sealed the pattern. If the wound is reframed as a gift, it can be passed on as a gift. Your grief refuses to make that conversion. Your grief says, that was not a gift. That was a wound. And I will not pass it on by pretending it was something else. The grief is not weakness. It is the refusal to normalize what should never have been normal. And that refusal is what stops the chain. And the grief comes in waves, not once, not resolved in a single cry. It arrives at unexpected moments, watching a parent hold a child gently at the grocery store, reading a bedtime story to your own child that was never read to you, hearing someone say, I'm proud of you, and realizing you can't remember hearing it growing up. Each wave is a refusal to normalize. Each wave is the pattern losing one more degree of authority. Number 7, you make a mistake. You lose your temper. You say the wrong thing, and then you go back. You say, I'm sorry. That wasn't okay. You deserved better in that moment. Repair was never modeled for you. In the household you grew up in, mistakes were either denied, justified, or forgotten without acknowledgement. Nobody came back. Nobody said sorry. Nobody demonstrated that love can survive a rupture. And you are now modeling something your family never showed you, that a relationship can break and be mended, that an apology is not weakness, that going back is not losing. And every time you repair, you're teaching the people around you a skill that was never taught to you. You are writing a manual that didn't exist in your family's library. Number 8, you're watching this video, you're reading the books, you're in therapy or considering it, You're doing something your parents never did. You're looking at the pattern instead of living inside it. The decision to seek understanding is not small. In many families, seeking help is treated as admission of failure. Therapy is weakness. Self-reflection is self-indulgence. And you're doing it anyway, against the family's code, against the cultural message that says, just move on, against the internal voice that says, you're making too much of this. You are the first person in your lineage to say, this stops here, and I need help to stop it. That sentence, however quietly spoken, is the most powerful sentence in your family's history, because nobody said it before you. And this sign is often invisible to the person doing it. You don't feel brave for watching a psychology video at midnight. You don't feel revolutionary for reading a book about attachment styles. You feel like you're just trying to figure things out, but zoom out. Look at the lineage. Nobody in that line ever picked up this book. Nobody ever typed this search. Nobody ever sat in that therapist's chair. You are the first. And the first feels ordinary from the inside. From the outside, from the perspective of the chain itself, it is seismic. Number 9, this sign is not in you. It's in the people around you. Your children are more open than you were at their age. Your partner feels safer expressing needs than your parents ever did with each other. Your friendships have a depth your parents' friendships didn't. The evidence that the pattern is breaking is in the people your healing touches. You may not see it because you're focused on your own imperfections. You're counting the moments you got wrong, but look at the people nearest to you. They are breathing easier. They are speaking more freely. They are less afraid, and that ease, that freedom, that reduced fear. You did that, not by announcing it, not by giving speeches about generational healing, by simply being a different kind of presence in the room, the child who tells you what they're afraid of because they know you won't mock them, the partner who says, I need something from you without bracing for the consequence, the friend who trusts your silence as presence, not punishment. You are the reason these people feel safe, and you may never fully see it because you're too busy monitoring your own imperfections. But they see it. They feel it. And it's already changing them, not by being perfect, by being different enough that the people around you developed in a different emotional climate than the one you grew up in. Number 10, the heaviest sign. You feel exhausted by this, not because the work is too much, because nobody did it for you. You are building the road while walking it. There's no map because nobody in your family ever took this route. Every boundary is the first. Every repair is the first. Every pause is the first. And the weight of every first is enormous because there is no precedent to lean on. And here is what nobody tells the chain breaker. The reason it's so hard is not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you're doing it first. Every first is harder than every second. The person who comes after you, your child, your niece, your student, the person who watches you and learns, will have it easier. Not because they're stronger, because you went first. And going first is the hardest thing a person in a generational chain can do. And sometimes the weight of going first makes you wonder if it's worth it. On the hard days, on the days the old pattern almost wins, on the days you lose your temper and hear your parents' voice come out of your mouth and the shame floods in, on those days, remember, perfection was never the requirement. The requirement was different, not perfect, different. And on the worst day you've ever had as a chain breaker, you are still doing something nobody in your family's history has ever attempted. The worst day of a new pattern is still a break from the old one. You will not see the full result. The chain breaker rarely does. You will see the beginning of the bending. But the person 2 generations from now, the one who grows up in a home where boundaries are normal and apologies happen and emotions are safe, that person will live the life you are building. And they may never know your name, but they will breathe easier because of what you chose to do when nobody was watching and nobody was helping and every part of the pattern was pushing you to repeat. 10 signs. 10 pieces of evidence that the generational chain is bending, the awareness, the pause, the guilt that means you're doing something new, the questioning, the mid-pattern catch, the grief that refuses to normalize, the repair that was never modeled, the help that was never sought before you, the safety the people around you feel, and the weight of being the one who goes first. You didn't choose the pattern, but you're choosing to stop passing it on. And that choice, made quietly, daily, imperfectly, without a map, is the most important thing anyone in your family has ever done. At Inner Lens, we see the chain breakers, the ones who go first. If this video is your evidence, stay. You are not alone in this. And what you're doing matters more than you know.